Hey guys, welcome back to the SOTL. We had a quick break and we're going to be coming back now with a continuation of today. We have another best of 5. A couple of games have been rearranged, by the way, so Crimson versus Hunter XX is not going to be the first set. We're actually going to just skip one and go straight into Hut versus Mio Micah. I'm Tenchi, and with me is, of course, Stormless. And you're muted, Dan, so unmute your microphone.
Oh, sorry, dude. I thought I'd press the button, but it apparently doesn't work when the window is closed.
No, look at that. Now you're back.
Oh, yes.
Good job.
Hey, we've got a good series. We saw some interesting games from these teams last week. I think, actually, they were still sort of like SYF. Yeah. Actually lost all of their games in the last one. VTLU1 was actually they were in the series last week with Veren 5, where we had a lot of the interesting games. So
correct.
Probably going to be a confident showing from them. So we'll see how it goes. Interesting. We have Hut in the lineup as well. So we do have Terran Injection, because I think last week it was pure Zerg.
Yeah, it was
from the Australia New Zealand team.
Yeah, and honestly, wasn't really blown away by anything that we saw out of SYF of week 1. So I'm hoping that they'll be able to swing back a little bit more now, off the back of Hut. He's a very good player.
I'll differ with you. I think we saw a good game between Mighty Kiwi and
Mighty Kiwi and yours on Mech Depot. Yeah, that was actually the good game. That's right.
Actually,
you're absolutely right.
That was a really good game.
The other two were kind of just like meh. Nothing super impressive. Like Winter just sort of walked over Wally, Biostalk, Crimson. Hut though, like he's actually a very good player. He's not at the very top in his country. I don't think that he measures up just yet with the likes of Probe and Seether and such. But he's getting there. Still like I think he's relatively consistent in TVZ actually. I remember casting the last season together with Snow, and we saw a couple of really good games out of Hut actually. Specifically in this matchup. So we'll see if we can continue that trend. Dan, we are in game number 1. So I mean, if you feel keen, do you want to jump into this one?
I'm in the game. Are you?
Oh, look at that. Well, guys, you can hear it started. We're gonna go right into this one. Here it is. So, in the bottom left, in the red, spawning as Taran, playing for Team SYF. It is going to be Hut.
That's right, and in the top right-hand side, we are going to be seeing Mio Micah playing as the Zerg. Just interestingly, garnishing the 1F Pro tag, but obviously on VTLU1.
Oh yeah, we did see that last week as well, actually.
Yeah.
A couple of like,
don't let it confuse you.
Yeah, like there were a couple of players who like in game were in clans of like the opposite teams, which was a bit of a toss up, but hey, it happens. No biggie.
No, it's fine. I think as long as you point it out.
Yeah, we just have to be very clear about that. So, anyway, this is game 1, guys, between these two teams. Now, if there's anything that we learned from last week, is that my observing is terrible. And I have good news for you.
Last week.
I mean, for everyone watching here, yeah. But I have good news, guys. It's still just as bad. So, that means that you will get a consistent product. So you know what you're gonna get on this channel. Which is great, because that means there will be no weird surprises.
You're underselling yourself, don't you? You do a good job, actually.
No, I think I'm a terrible observer. My friend Alex, he knew how to do it, man. But he's out of the business now. He's retired. You've kind of replaced him, actually, now that I think about it.
nice.
It was sort of around when he was like, yeah, you know, I think I'm done with esports, that we started hanging out more. And you know, you always need that replacement guy, you know. So like when it's my time to go out of your life, then you're gonna be stuck with helping hands for a little bit, and then when you grow tired of him, which you evidently will after like a week, then you'll find someone else. Maybe it'll be Jack. Probably not gonna be Jack, but it might be someone.
Well, I'm not planning on it. So, you're stuck with me. Get used to it.
We'll see, man. We'll see.
But on more game-related notes, Tenchi.
Yes.
First couple of minutes of this is always kind of chit-chat, but the third hatchery. Hatchery, actually, macro is very, very quick here. For me and Micah, he's kind of exploding onto that front right now.
Oh! I thought Hut was
aggression
gonna...
from the Reaper. I don't think he'd get really anything from it, though.
Nah, I thought he was gonna end up killing his own drone there for a moment, but oh, pardon me, his own Reaper. Now, as you mentioned, this pocket expand, as we like to call it, means that it's very easy to take your third base. Oh no, Hut!
Oh no!
Oh my god! Okay, that was atrocious. That was. Okay, so I mean, there are certain situations where you'll be like, "Okay, damn, that was skillful from the Zug," but that was just terrible from Hut. I don't know what he was doing.
He's got himself in a bad position.
I mean,
it's a shame. It's a huge loss, but
I mean, it's like this right now. He loses the Reaper, and it's not the biggest deal simply because, you know, he's got the scout off. He knows that he's up against, you know, a very quick 3-base Zug. But it's obviously very nice to keep around because it means that you can zoom in and dot around the main and check for any sort of tech. You can use it to spot out, you know, any move outs because it's such a fast and nimble unit. So more than anything to me, it just sort of says a little bit that he's not very focused in this game, you know. Just a small thing like that. Do you feel me?
I do, and it's very difficult because, you know, when trying to do a couple of things at once, like you don't know, maybe something was happening macro related back in base that he may have just slipped up a little bit. It's one of those games with the speed allows you to do that, but hopefully he's going to recover it with a Hellion drop from the Medivacs into the base. There isn't really much of a Zerg army at the moment.
Oh,
you know,
my.
it's so heavily into the macro that these are just going to tear into the mineral line and get so many drones.
Ooh. Okay, not yet, Dan. Not yet. He's actually going to be able to keep those drones alive. I think he only lost like 1 or 2. And the Hellions get out as well. So both of these players, so far, not really taking any big losses. But Dan, the potential is there. Now, he's going to be swinging back in yet again.
Yeah, I really like this, that he went away with the medevac back in. So he's lured those Zerglings right to the outside of the base. And he's able to just deal loads more damage. Medevac constantly there, so he can just hop back in. No air presence from Zerg just means that the Doom drops up. Brutal.
8 drones going down to those Hellions. And only a single one getting traded out there. So that's the damage he was looking for, man. That's the massive damage that you were saying. Slowing things down like that for Zerg is a great start here for Terran. Obviously, Hut very comfortable here, operating on his own 3 bases. You can see that he is getting his 3rd orbital command right there. So he's going to have triple muling as well as triple mules coming down. Double engineering base at the front as well. So this is a big indication here for Micah that he knows that there should be a 3rd base up for Terran. So with that information, just right off the bat, he should be able to sort of safely assume what's going on. So with that, he can either go in towards a 4th base, which we're going to be seeing that here, or he could be teching. But yeah, 4th base it is. Might get denied it from this Raven, but Hut's not going to be paying attention. He wants to kill drones instead.
I think he's making a good choice because, you know, even with the extra hatcheries, if you can just keep harassing the drones and just, you know, stick to 3 CCs, I think he's in a very good economic position. A lot of focus on gas as well, so I think we're going to see quick teching, quick upgrades, and the Zerglings, they're just going to melt.
Yeah, look at this. Look at how much damage these turrets actually deal to the hatchery, bringing it down very, very low. So once it finishes up, it is going to be around half HP, which means that it is going to be a very juicy target to potentially attack a little bit later on in the future. Secondary Raven set up here, by the way, towards the 3rd base as well. Dan could plop down a turret or 2. There it is. gets 2 drones for his troubles. Now, one thing that is cool that I want to point out, we're seeing very quick infestors here for Miomaika. He's also getting +2 carapace in favor of getting the melee upgrades, which is something that is very unorthodox here. So he's going to go into just Zergling infestor, Banelings as well. And this is a sort of composition that you want to play into if you want to be teching very quick. You can very quickly go up to Hive, and then from there throw down that Ultralisk Cavern. The only thing that is somewhat unorthodox is actually that he's going in for, you know, a fairly significant number of infestors, and he's actually going to throw down the Spire. This is a very cool style we're seeing out of Miomaika. Now, I'm a little bit scared about that, though, because obviously he's putting a lot of focus into teching, and he's going to be attacked now as Hut comes across the map for the first time, and, you know, with quite a substantial force. He's going to gun down this hatchery.
That is unfortunate. I don't really feel like he has...
Oh, it catches everything! Oh, okay, that was sick.
Well, that went the opposite way I thought it was going to go. Great play there. Just absolutely wiping Terran from that side of the map. Now he's going to go on the counter push, and he selects a good moment for this, actually, because the size of the army that he wiped there means, you know, he's going to be able to go back, try and tear through what's left, make sure that he doesn't get back on his feet quickly. He's got enough Zerglings to go in and deal the damage. Marines trying to deal with it.
Yeah, mind you as well, combat shield upgrade is not done here for Terran just yet. It's going to be finishing up in about 25 seconds. Double drop come in here towards the third base. The Raven is there as well to provide support, can drop down the turret. And this is actually going to help out quite a bit. Now, nice control there from Hut, making sure that the medevac stays alive for just a little bit longer, providing some additional staying power. And he's going to start gunning down this Spire. Oh man, this is actually a crucial tech structure that is going to get taken out here. Hut, that is going to be really crucial. Miomaika, now all of a sudden, his game plan here to go into those Mutalisks, absolutely shattered. Oh, this is so cost inefficient there. Using so many fungals to kill those Marines. This is not looking very good for Miomaika, man.
No, it's a shame. I think, like, if he could defend himself a little better, this would be fine. But he's just getting run around by drops at the moment. Probably needs to just, you know, secure those bases so he can't be dropped as violently as he is. Focus on, you know, getting that build that he wants, getting those units out, going Ultralisk. But the fact that he is trying to expand and being bounced around all the time, you know, his macro is suffering for it. He's spending way too much time now. And there's great pressure. Great pressure.
Okay, mind you, Dan, these 3 infestors, you can see that they're just trailing the Terran army right now. At the same time, this double drop up towards the natural expansion, killing the Spore Crawler, which means that he does have a very good forward position. Now, the fungal growths are huge as they come on down. Scan is here to reveal the infestors. The Lings will wrap around everything. The tank's actually doing a substantial amount of damage. As a great target firing here from Hut, trying to gun down those infestors, but at the same time, because he deflects that army, he's going to give up his natural expansion.
You know what was really unfortunate about that was the fact that, you know, like the kind of stasis he had on the Marines actually made like a kind of block that allowed the siege tanks to do way more damage to the Lings. So very unfortunate.
Oh man, natural hatchery does go down. Raven's still here to support this attack, and he's positioned himself so well behind these minerals. Fungal goes down here, which means that these Marines are going to be significantly weakened. But even so, the economical damage has been done, and they're still fighting here. Finally, they're going to get cleaned up. As the first Ultralisks are now on the way here for Miomaika. But Hut, dude, he's so far up in military supply. You can see it right there. 106 army to 46. Upgrades. Now even a 2-2 for either side. But chitinous plating isn't done just yet. If Hut pounces on this and guns down these Ultralisks before chitinous plating even finishes, that's just going to be it. This is, you know, the Hail Mary play for Miomaika. He needs to stay alive with this. Ultras just
another hatchery
melt.
down.
Yeah.
Drones out there. Calls GG. I think that's fair, to be honest. So much has been lost.
Ouch. So, that's the thing, guys. So that means that SYF find game number 1, convincingly so, Good showing right there from Hut. Looked a little bit shaky just initially into the game there, but it's all good now. Managed to swing back. The dropping was very solid. I liked the use of the Raven. He was very active with that, and he weakened the hat tree. He used it to support his drops. Just small, cute little, addition to making sure that you have a lot more staying power, because that's one of the things with a lot of the Terran drops, especially pre-combat shield. They're very, very soft skinned. They'll die very quickly to upgraded lings and queens. So just having that as a small, extra backbone was I really like that idea. Solid.
The Raven drops are lovely to see. Makes a nice little change, just to go on. But I just think like the Hellions at the start were just such a push to put him on to push Mick on the back foot.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of like long range flame damage is just brutal. And there were barely any lings at the start of the game. Do you know what I mean? Like there were some queens to try and tidy everything up, but it was just like they were allowed to do this damage. The downside of intense macro early on.
One thing as well that I want to bring up, I'm not sure how familiar you are with this concept of sharking units. Have you heard that concept? Have you heard that term before, like sharking in StarCraft? So it's a technique that is, it was specifically, it started as a thing that was used versus Zerg, but you see it now across the board in pretty much every matchup. It's where you move out with your army, like you're there with poise, and it tricks the Zerg into thinking like, oh god, I have to make defending units, so he stops making drones, and he's maybe at like 45 drones. He wants to be at 60 drones, but instead he's making units, and then you're like, nah, man, you just go and take a third. And then he just sits there with a bunch of army, right, that doesn't really do anything. And then instead, what he's done, he's sort of cut back his economy by 45 seconds, And what you can do in that sense is that you can go, the other way around, where you trick where you trick Zerg into that you're not going to be attacking. So he's like, okay, I can make drones. And I think that's what we kind of saw there. Me and Micah got caught with his pants down. He made a handful of lings because you always need those initial Zerglings to just sort of give you that light reconnaissance ability, and you can also deflect like very light attacks. But something like Hellions like that, when they position themselves well, it's so tough to deal with. And was caught in like a big round of drones. That's always a painful
The interesting
one.
thing though is that he did drone scout. I mean, it's a best of one. He did drone scout. I'm sure he would have known that was coming. It doesn't seem safe. Do you know what I mean? To see what you'd scouted and commit to.
The issue for me with that is that when you drone scout, it's a little bit too early for you to actually get any sort of concrete information on what Terran specifically wants to be doing. So, because we actually saw the drone go down.
Didn't we see double gas? maybe I'm
no,
mistaken.
The secondary gas got taken later, like even after the factory was done. So he killed the drone, and he denied that scat specifically. Like, for all intents and purposes, for Zerg, like from his perspective, it can just look like a standard 8 marine drop to pressure, or like that he goes into a 2-1-1. So it's really hard for Zerg to actually figure out exactly what you're doing. So that's why a player that I really like, I use him a lot as an example on how to play like very strong defensive Zerg, is Snoot in ZVT, because he gets a lot of queens early on, and like it's just a really solid way to defend. You get a lot of creep spread. So we'll see if we see any of that later on. We do have another match coming up, guys. It is going to be Mighty Kiwi versus Red. So we're just going to load up that game. And then we're going to get right into that one. I'm just going to get Storm Guy into the lobby here. Make sure that he knows.
I'm ready.
There he is. Look at that.
I have to. StarCraft's lobby overlay casting observer system is very nice.
Yeah. You see, it's in the small things, right? Like if you've been living in poverty with only dirty water. For when did Code 2 come out? In like 2013.
Is that the
so when you've been drinking like dirty water for 4 years, and then you get this, like, it tastes sort of off, but at least it's clean. Of course, it's gonna feel like very luxurious. It's welcome to the real world, Stormless.
When I find something I can degrade you about, I mean, I'm gonna be all over that.
Yeah, you can try me, big boy. Okay, let's get into this game, man. Here we are, guys. So down in the bottom right, in the red. Look at that! Actually living up to his name. It is our Protoss player. It is red.
That's right, and in the top left-hand side, we do have for SYF Gaming, it is Mighty Kiwi playing as the Zerg. And we saw a great game from Mighty Kiwi last week. Actually, it was one of the ones that stood out as a good game.
That is true.
He played a ZVZ, and I believe he came off with the victory.
That was also Crimson on Mech Depot. That was actually a really good game. Very back and forth. Roach Wars. That went on for a good 10 or 15 minutes at least. So
I think it was the only ZVZ that went over
4 minutes or something like that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was, quite ridiculous.
All of the other ones were just these wild Zerg rushes. And you remember we saw Queens loaded into Overlords, dropped into the main.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just some really great things to see.
Whoa. Hold up. I'm not sure if this is actually a reaction from Red, that he sees that this is in fact a very early pool, so he goes for this quick secondary gate, or if he was actually planning on going for the 2-gate opener. Now, I'm a huge fan of this. It's a little bit of an old style. It's kind of fallen off for obvious reasons, but I still think it has a place in a tournament setting, right? It's definitely this kind of build that can throw your opponent off, but it doesn't look as if this was actually something he wanted to do. To me, it looks more like a reaction here to what Mighty He was actually doing. Good positioning here with the Zealot, but this gateway is getting very low. I think he's going to be able to actually take this down. And Red now having to reinvest like this? Man, this is awkward. Nice reaction there, though. Throwing down that extra gateway.
Actually, the way that he's defending this Nexus with these constant blocks is actually really, really good.
Oh man, this is sick. Yeah, okay, that kind of sucks. They're losing the Adept. Now, this is where things are awkward, right? Where Lings are just whacking away at your structures and there's nothing really to do anything about that. This pylon going down, that means that they will be able to get on in. Oh, he's not reacting in time. And with that, it looks as if Red will be able to actually defend this now.
Okay, let's just bar the fact that a lot of resources got spent. I think actually saving the Nexus is totally worthwhile. And hey, that's not a bad start, to be honest. That was hyper aggression from Zerg there. It could have gone very, very badly.
Now, the only thing that I'm curious about here now is what will the follow-up from Red be here, right? He knows that there are two things that can happen on Mighty Kiwi Z. Either he's going to go very greedy, going towards the third hat tree, like we're seeing here, and he's going to try to drone up to about 45, 50 drones and then start churning units. Or he's going to follow this up with a secondary attack. Looks as if Red wants to actually move out. I think this is the right call to make. You know, you want to go across the map, you want to start pressuring your opponent, because with the pressure, you also get scouting. So, this is
hashtag just build oracles, I think.
Yeah. I would love to see a Stargate here from Red, but he's opting in to go for a Robo instead, which is a little bit of a slower play.
I kind of think that we had this before. Do you remember the situation with the Hunter X game where the Overlords were just constantly providing recon against Protoss, and it kind of became this. We're seeing that here. Like the Overlords are moving in. They've got total vision really for what they want to see, and it's something that needs to be dealt with because the Zerg, when they had the recon, were very, very potent in a lot of the games we cast before.
Yeah, that's a good point, Dan. You've really wanted to dive the scouting for Zerg.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to see, as you say, Stargate, maybe see a Phoenix to clear those up, even if it's just the one.
At this stage, though, it would be a waste of resources, because we're in the stage of the game where he can't really afford to throw away the extra gas. Especially not now, because you see he's committing it towards Twilight Council. He's got the Resonating Glaives upgrade started as well, so we could just see a massive 2-base play here come out of Red. No third base around 5 minutes, obviously slowing things down with that first big attack coming out of Mighty Kiwi. Now even catching these Adepts out, this is further going to slow things down for Protoss. And he's even going to spot this War Prism coming across the map. This is not looking good for our Protoss friend, man. Not looking good at all.
I don't want to write him out too soon, to be honest. because I think actually he seems like he's very, very good on the defense. And you know, like Kiwi is very aggressive. If he does throw too much in, and we do see the defense from Red, then you know we could see that turnaround. I think it's one of those things where players can just get caught off guard by their own, by their own play styles.
I don't know,
I think
man.
I know what you're saying with the advantage.
Like,
I'm not going to be that.
It.
I'm not going to be that person. It's like it's always possible, and this is, you know. But I'll be honest with you. I can see it. I can see it being reversed right now.
I honestly don't think that Red is very much longer, you know, for this world, because you can see here he's forced to actually cancel 2 gateways. Mighty Kiwi sees everything, right? So you can see that he's preparing himself. He's not droning. Only unit production right now here for Zerg. He's got extra queens that he's bringing down. He's got a good number of lings as well. These shades, yeah, sure, you've spent them. You've baited them out, but what are you going to do now? There's no escape. If he guns down this War Prism, that's going to be the reinforcement point for Protoss gone.
Actually, one thing I have to say Kiwi is doing very well is that he's got the creep nailed down for his expansions. So, like, you know, whenever these threats come in, he does have that that speed advantage to deal with the threats quickly. And some of the games we cast previously, we didn't see that. You know, we see gaps between bases where that speed drops. And I actually really like how Kiwi's paying that good attention to the landscape to make sure that he's always able to deal with these threats.
Yeah, a handful of Stalkers get whooped in here to try to deal with the Roaches, but they are here in numbers. Roachling are so strong at dealing with just relatively basic gateway-based armies. Now moving forward here, the Queens as well, starting to target this War Prism. If that goes down, again, like I said, Red is going to be out of his reinforcements point. He can actually step forward. Decides not to, playing it safe, staying on the creep. Again, you can just see constant roach production here from Mighty Kiwi. Off of the back of 47 workers, around, I would say like 50, 55 is generally optimal if you want to just be churning units off of the back of 3 hatcheries. But he's got enough. He's still making units. He's going to have +1 attack with this. He knows that there's no third base coming down for Protoss as well. You can see he's using these overlords here to just spew creep to not only have vision but also slow things down. If Red now magically wanted to try and transition, he's actually banking 1,000 minerals now. Moving forward, these lings again absorbing a lot of this stalker fire as the Roaches close the gap.
The Roach is doing so much damage. Yeah, it was always going to go to Kiwi, wasn't it, from the start?
Sort of felt like it, man. He was just in control of the pace of that. There was really nothing that I feel Red was doing that was really impressing me. It was pretty straightforward, like that loss. Pardon me, let me just throw it back over to us. It was pretty straightforward.
I have to say, with credit to Red, though, I would say, especially for me, you know, like I'm relatively new to this. I thought he defended very well at the start. I think he handled that well. Do you know what I mean? And I would say that
I'm gonna disagree with you there, actually.
Ooh,
I'm gonna stop you dead in your tracks. He overextended in terms of the spending, and that slowed everything down. So, like, if you were even if you want to do some kind of 2-base attack like that, it's way too late when you spend so many minerals into remaking that. Like, obviously, yeah, you need to deflect, but there were some micro mistakes. Like, he didn't keep the Zealot well positioned in the wall. That would have bought him a lot of extra time, so he didn't have to throw down an extra gateway. The Adept as well mismanaged. You know, there were these small things that they're very subtle, but because he lost those units a little bit quicker than he necessarily needed to, he was forced to spend a lot of extra money.
I think this is kind of useful for a lot of people. So explain to me, like, the Zerg kind of push into army over drones.
Okay.
You know, getting the Zerglings out aggressively. You know, where is the mistake there? So is that early nexus that had caused that to happen? Like perhaps a lapse in units able to deal with the situation?
No, so for me, the primary issue from what, you know, obviously there might be people with dissenting opinions about this, but what stood out for me primarily is that initially the defense was good, right? You can see that he's throwing down the gateways and the pylons to just sort of wall things off. That's what you want to do. Perfect. So far, so good. And then when you get your first units out as well, the Zealot was very well controlled at the start. But then as the first gateway fell, and he threw down 2 extra gateways to wall things off, he got the Zealot wedged in between a pylon and the gateway. And the way you can do it is if you get it on hold position correctly, he's only going to be fighting one Zergling at a time, right?
Right. Okay.
But instead, he was standing a little bit too far forward, so 2 Lings were hitting him at the same time. So he's taking essentially, double damage. Which you can
so
just completely avoid,
isn't it?
right? And that's one. And then when the Adept pops in the between the 2 gateways, again similar situation. You can have it so it only gets hit by 1 Ling, but because the Lings could wrap around, he's again getting attacked from 2 sides. When he could have just used the shade to get through and wedge himself in between the pylon and the gate, so that only 1 Ling can engage him at any given time.
I'm glad I asked that question. Because that reads very differently when you have that knowledge, actually. So yeah, down to positioning.
Yeah, and the decision to actually not shade with the Adept, it forced him to make an extra gateway that he cancelled. And you're like, yeah, he gets the money back, but what happens when he throws down the extra gateway? Slows down probing, which means that he has fewer minerals. He enters the early mid game, which is where when you want to start powering up with your tech and stuff. So there are just like these small things going on that I think can be quite hard to spot out. As you sort of come into it, but the more you start digging yourself into StarCraft, the more you'll start seeing these small things going on, like in the background, which is one of the things which, to me, is why StarCraft is so cool, man. Which is, it's a superior RTS.
It has been. I mean, every RTS is a knowledge curve, but StarCraft is it's deep.
Deep, the rabbit hole goes very deep on this one. It's
like reading of Mice and Men or Pygmalion at age 4. It's
of Mice and Men.
It's the same kind of learning curve. What the?
You could say that's fair.
That is always fair. What have we got coming up next, Tenchi? Ooh,
we have another series,
ZVT. ZVP.
Yeah, man. It's going to be Chase versus SOS Fanboy, which, interesting name.
Did we see Fanboy last week? I'm sure we did.
Yes, we did, in fact.
I actually can't see him on any of the...
Wait, why did you... Come on, get in the lobby.
Oh, yes, we did. We saw him play against... Do you know what? I've been waiting for your invite for like 5 minutes. The moment I alt-tab... You've invited me. Thanks for that. I swear you're doing it deliberately. Just taking advantage of me.
I'm always taking advantage of you, Dan.
Don't I know it?
Can you try to find a time when I'm not doing it?
I will. I'll highlight that when that happens.
I hope you do. I hope you do, Dan.
I'm enjoying casting with you, Tenchi.
I'm glad.
This has been a nice. It's been a nice one. I have to say, whilst we're here, like huge thank you to SSAC because, as well as a lot of the players that are getting their first kind of, not their first, but you know what I mean, like getting their exposure and things like that. They've also given me a really nice opportunity to kind of, step in at the early stages and experience casting this wonderful game. And they've put me up with one of the best casters in the business. So
I'm going to agree with you on several of those points, bar the latter. Because you need to stay humble, guys. You need to stay humble. There's always someone up there who's going to be your peer, but today is not the day. Today I am the master. Feels good, man. Anyway, let's get into this one, guys. Here we are, game number 3 in this series of the SOTL. And down in the bottom left, in the green, he's going to have to win this game for his team to stay afloat in this one. It is going to be SOS Fanboy or Shigeo Tokuda.
That's right, and on the top right-hand side of Mech Depot, we have in the red trunks as the Zerg, it is Chase.
Has it ever struck you that just having, singular words as your in-game name is kind of cool? Have you ever thought about that?
Explain.
Hey, okay, so if I just say like innovation, and you're like, oh, you know?
Yeah.
Uh,
Like a singular. I
Yes.
get what you mean. Yeah.
it's funny, right? Because many of these Koreans, they just have these like random English words, and you know, if you take them out of context, it's just like so nonsensical. I was like, yeah, that's kind of stupid. But then, you know, you think of it like hero, like, oh man, zest, zest, lemon zest, the same kind of zest I used in my like lemon
Zest, you know, like fresh. You know, this is what he's trying to say. Is like my strats are fresh, zesty.
They are zesty. No, but you know, just think about it for a moment there. But so I think Chase is a great name though. By the way, like I think Chase, like the name is so much better than SOS Fanboy. I just like.
I can kind of agree with that. Yeah.
Just like singular words. I think Stormless is a bit of a weird one actually, because like you're a man without storms, so you're technically stormless. But where does it translate into anything else? What is the backstory to your name actually?
Word generator. But the way I've
No.
but the way that I've tried to rescue it is like Eye of the Storm. Do you know what I mean? Stormless. Like, where is there not a storm? In the center of the hurricane. That's how I'm, you know, that's how I'm marketing myself.
That's like very far-fetched. I'm sorry.
Trying to make the best of a bad situation, but hey, it's actually been successful.
It's funny because, you know, I feel as if that's something that you do. You put yourself in bad positions, and you're like, hey, well, I have to salvage this one, I guess. And like it becomes a competition for like how well can you recover from situation X and Y. And I feel as if that's reflected as well in the way that we play games as well sometimes. Anyway, finally things have started to happen a little bit here. We have an Oracle on the field here for SOS Fanboy. See how much he can do with this. He's opening up very standard, going into Phoenix follow-up, additional gateways, and a robo. Not the Twilight Council and Forge that we've seen before Stormless, you know, where Proto goes into the charge attack.
Yeah.
Not going to be any of that.
Actually interested, the Oracle is not going to pursue the hatcheries for drones. It looks like it's coming back to help deal with the Ling threat. And see the overlords there. As we saw in the last game, probably going to be putting some creep down so that we can't see the expansion to the north. Even though it happens.
Not just yet. I don't think there's a lair actually here for Chase. No, there's no lair. It's going to be coming down in a little bit. We should see the lair within the next, you know, 15 or 25 seconds or so. See, Baneling Nest, there's the lair. Got +1 melee attacks on the way as well. Mind you that Chase actually researched Pneumatized Carapace, which is the Overlord movement speed upgrade, so he does get a lot of good scouting information. Oh, I think the Oracle died. No, never mind. Those are two adepts.
No, Oracle.
Yeah, there were two adepts who just went into towards the natural. Got 3 drones for their troubles.
Actually, once again, so we discussed this in the last game about the importance of dealing with recon for Zerg. We see that here. The Phoenix has been paying good attention to Overlords. There's still one outside the main, but he did pursue the ones that are going from the north.
Dan, hold on here. The pylon is getting targeted down now by these Lings. They might be able to actually interrupt this warp in. Gets 1. And without a pylon here, that means no photon overcharge, no defensive warp ins here for SOS Fanboy. But he does get the 3rd base up. It's all about just saturating that now.
Is this Oracle on patrol? I feel like it's either on patrol or he's incredibly indecisive. I think he's using it for recon.
He's very idle with it. Like, way too idle. You need to either start killing drones or start dropping some stasis wards, but he's not doing anything. He's not very focused in using it. Now he's going to try to drop a stasis ward. Let's see if Chase is paying attention. He's not, Dan! Watch this! The carnage!
Oh! Oh my god, that is a great status ward. At the same time, though, we see a lot of Banelings rushing the 3rd Nexus with support of Lings. Banelings actually moving on. They're going to try to break the wall.
Oh god. Here we go, boys. It's like 1989 all over again. Force field goes down. That's actually a very good one there to slow things down. But the Banelings just decimate the mineral line.
Wow. That was a lot of Banelings and a hell of a lot of damage. And it just opens up the gates the Lynx to go in and deal horrendous amounts of damage. They're going to be able to deal with the natural Nexus.
Yeah, they're going to take that down. That's a massive blow. Photon Overcharge comes in now. SOS fanboy. For being a fanboy of one of the best and, you know, sharpest minds in the business. You don't seem very inspired, my friend. He's going for an Archon drop on the other side of the map. So I guess that's where he's focused right now. Chase, however, he does have the defender's advantage, mind you. He could bring in the Queens. The Link's coming back as well. A couple of Hydralisks have hit the field. The drone's even getting pulled off the line here to just absorb as much damage as he can. Some good micro coming out here from Chase. But this Warp Prism is getting lower and lower. Oh, nice snipe there on the High Templar.
Hopefully he can do something with this hatchery, although that Nexus has gone down, so we're down to just one base in the main for Protoss right now. I think he's putting all his eggs in one basket with the Archon and Zealots. Does he have enough to make it work?
I don't know, Dan. He's only got 2 Archons here, one of them relatively low on shields. Drone pulled off the lines again here. These Hydras are working away. All the Hydras, pardon me, all the Zealots are now gone. And with it looks as if this is going to be SOS fanboy on his last legs. Kind of feel as if we are going to be witnessing this 3-0 victory here for SYF.
I really like what he's doing with the Archon drops, to be honest. He's in a difficult situation. I mean, he's got a lot to manage back on the home front as well.
He's got Dan, he's got nothing to manage back on the home front. He's only got
a
single base.
I mean, he has a lot of work to do. Not that he has plenty of activity. He has to keep his eyes open for that.
Yeah, man, unemployment rates here for Probe skyrocketing for a moment. They're in a very, very bad recession right now, and Chase is just powering up. He's got his 4th hatchery.
10,000 minerals for Zealot training now. So.
It's a lot of money.
It is, yeah. It's inflation. It's.
Back in my day,
that would actually be quite fun, you know. What I mean?
Back in my day, you got 100 minerals would get you a Zealot. Now it
reminds me of like.
Now it doesn't even get you a slice
here.
of toast. All right, here we go, man. Link drop comes in here towards the main base. Where's that mothership? Needs to bring that in. Now she shows up, but again, albeit a little bit too late, losing even more workers. SOS fanboy down to only 17 probes in this game. Now he's got a fairly substantial attack coming through here. 3 Archons, a handful of these Zealots. But look, oh man, this is so sick. Chase throwing down the evolution chamber wall to just shield his army from this attack. What a smart play. I like it. It's just very cute, quite technical.
Yeah, it's great to see that. He has everything that he needs, really. He's going to easily be able to deal with the Zealots with the Hydras.
A couple of Zealots in the main base, actually, Dan. Gunning down some of these Queens. Gets both of them.
I love that he's still being aggressive, actually. I think that's important, because whilst he's giving it, you know, a really, really good attempt to get back in this. He hasn't given up by any means. Actually, the continued aggression is kind of... I don't want to say it's deceptive for Chase, because Chase knows the situation Protoss is in right now, but it's actually just giving a lot of time for maybe some kind of recovery. It looks grim, but I love the fact that he's giving this his best.
Yeah, he is trying, so I have to give him credit for that. I completely agree with you there. However, all things must come to an end. You can see Chasey's got Hydras in the main ready, in position. Got a very big army here with Banelings as well. Pops the Stasis Sword. Nice little move there. It looks as if he's going to try to lift up into the main base. But the army's going to collapse on him now. Here we go. The Hydra's in position. They can target down this Warp Prism. If he's paying attention, and yes he is. Oracle goes down and now he's going to get sandwiched with the high ground and the low ground. That's going to be a GG. Chase takes the game and SYF win their series 3-0.
Wow. Is that another 3-0? Or did we get You need to refresh this page. Yeah, it's going to be the second 3-0. You know, essentially, you remember earlier this year I co-hosted the Grand Championship series with A. You remember? And funnily enough, like with a lot of events like this in the early stages. 'Cause we ended up being called the Grand 3-0 series for a lot of that, just because the early games were typically like this. The interesting thing is that when you have teams that are 3-0ing, you don't know how that's going to play out later on. Do you know what I mean? When those teams that are securing that, then, and I think we've kind of seen those players that are along the same skill level. Like we saw that earlier. Syakon Rangers game was good. Zero Penalty, I think, was good as well.
Yeah,
it's actually developing quite nicely, and it's nice to get. I hope the players don't switch around too much, because actually following players' play styles and seeing how they do week to week is a lot of the fun.
Yeah, I must agree with you there. I think one of the things that I really enjoy a lot about this format is that you get to see not only like a very mixed bag of like different kinds of styles colliding, but it's the fact that we can see, you know, players improving primarily. Like, yeah, last week they weren't doing so well, but now, you know, the same players actually swinging back into the same matchups, and now they're actually doing very well. And then eventually coming into the playoffs, you know, can they overcome these guys who crushed them in the group stage? A lot of storylines, a lot of, you know, red threads sort of going out all across the board here. So
I think it's interesting because now I'm not 100% sure how the matchups are specifically formed player to player. But for instance, like we see, just take last week as a player as example, like Mighty Kiwi. Now ZVZ was a long game for him. ZVP was substantially quicker. So it's like, as a manager, you can kind of like see people's strengths and where the games are going to go. I think that's interesting, because obviously it does come down to a skill level race to race anyway, which is probably a little bit harder to predict when you're not at like top level, and you can't actually say, oh well, his TVT is good, you know what I mean, because there is a skill factor now, I think, that changes things. But actually learning a lot about these players and kind of discussing them to give them the exposure that they deserve, and putting on a good show. That's kind of like the heart of this tournament, man.
Yeah, it's I mean, I come from a background of doing StarCraft, like grassroots things, so it's a very like personal, you know, endeavor to sort of be part of this. And of course, I thank the SSAC for having me on. It's always a lot of fun. Again, we can actually take this opportunity to very graciously thank our sponsor, Dank Shrine, who puts on some sick and very dank content. Has a lot of good talk shows where he features some of the coolest and sexiest personalities in the StarCraft 2 community. He's had Artosis on there. He's also had, I believe, like In Control, a couple of very interesting people, players, personalities. Now, with all that said and done, guys, we're going to take a break now, a couple of hours, before we come back with the continuation of today. It is going to be Ape Gaming, who are going to play versus VTLU2, because there are 2 VTLUs. So with that, I'm going to say thank you so much for now, and I'm going to leave Dan with the closing word.
Essentially, you always leave me in this situation where you say everything and then ask me to say more. Yeah, we'll be back in a little while, guys. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for all your support. Do give a follow to the channel if you're enjoying the show and you want to support exposure for newer players and the rest of Southeast Asia tournaments. Give a follow. We'd much appreciate it, and hopefully we see you guys back very shortly.